There is a group called BattleCry for a Generation, which is traveling across the country, trying to guide young people away from what they call the corrupting influence of popular culture.
These guys are raising their voice and saying, you know what, enough's enough. We want to let the faith and the Judeo-Christian values that made our nation great, we want that to lead our generation. So that's what this event's about.
Apparently, about 25,000 evangelical Christians showed up at a rally sponsored by the BattleCry group in San Francisco, and a few hundred of them showed up at City Hall as well. Well, that wasn't a big hit with some secular San Franciscans who organized a counter-demonstration.
Christian fascists, go away!
Racist, sexist, anti-gay!
Christian fascists, go away! Racist, sexist, anti-gay!
All right, pretty intense. Joining us now from Washington, Luce, founder of the Teen Media, which sponsors the BattleCry events, and here in the studio, Sarah Taylor, whose group World Can't Wait organized the counter-protest. All right, so what do you object to from Mr. Luce's group?
Well, we would agree that there is a moral crisis in this country, but we think they've got it all wrong in where they're directing their efforts. There is torture being justified by our government, lies and murder being carried out in Iraq. There is an actual moral crisis, and we went to stand up against the religious intolerance that's trying to impose itself in women's lives and gay people's lives, suppressing the right to abortion and birth control, and actually say there is a moral way to live right now, and that is to oppose the administration, the Bush administration, that is moving towards unjust war and theocracy in this country.
So you're a far-left group who sees things the way the far-left sees it, and we understand that. But this group basically is doing what you do, but on the other side of the coin. Shouldn't they do it without being called names?
Well, they are not saying these are our personal beliefs. They call themselves a battle cry. They call people like us the enemy, and they are actually trying to remake the culture and the norms in this country.
But all they're doing is holding rallies, and if you want to go, you can. And then your group gets out there and calls them fascists and terrible names, and why would you do that?
Because at the same time they're holding these rallies, laws are being passed in South Dakota banning abortion.
But that's the way it is in America. You pass laws on the votes of the people. I don't know why the personal attacks. Can you explain those, Ms. Taylor?
There's
why
not a personal attack.
Calling somebody a fascist, a Christian fascist, isn't a personal attack? I believe it is.
There are fascist administrations that have, one of the first things that happens in fascism is you take away personal freedoms, abortion rights, birth control. These things have happened, and there's a just parallel.
Okay. All right, Mr. Luce, how do you see it?
Well, there's young people all over America, and they are realizing they're caught in the middle of this cultural war. They've got violence shoved down their throat, sexual images. You know, you walk into the mall, and there's Victoria showing you all of her secrets. You got point-and-click pornography, and all these messages that are being rammed down their throat. And they're saying, you know what? We believe in Jesus Christ, and we want to take a stand. We want our voices to be heard. We don't want the makers of media to make us, to make our generation. And so they're gathering together in these large events, these 25,000 kids that came together in San Francisco. We're doing them all over the country, in Detroit and Philadelphia. And they're saying, you know what, we want our voice to be heard. We love the Lord, and we're not mean. And if you look at the video clips of that rally, they're very kind, and they're praying, and it was pretty startling to see such a violent response to kids that are just saying, you know, this is our generation.
Ms. Taylor believes, and she just stated, that what you do is going to impact, or has already impacted, on her personal rights as an American. How do you answer that?
Well, I think that whoever raises their voice in culture is the one who shapes culture. And for so long, it's the left, or it's people that have values that are directly opposed to the Bible or God's instruction book that have raised their voice the loudest. And so now...
But are you violating her rights? I mean, do you want to take away the right to an abortion, the right to birth control, so Ms. Taylor would feel that she is being deprived of her rights? Do you want to do that?
We're all about empowering young people, that give them a voice and say, you know what, we have the right to have the Judeo-Christian values that made our nation great, be the values that represent our generation.
Does that mean you're not trying to take away Ms. Taylor's rights?
Well, we're not a political organization, so we're not going to vote on anything, but we want to see them have values. Kids are coming together on BattleCry.com.
Listen, you have a perfect right to put your value system out there. Now, I was struck, Ms. Taylor, and I don't want to be unfair to you because we appreciate you coming in. I was struck that Mr. Luce's organization did not call your organization any names. They didn't get out there, and they didn't try to diminish it personally. They didn't confront the people at San Francisco who were calling them fascists and other hateful names, bigots and all of this. They didn't respond to that. Now, wouldn't it be better if you behaved the way in confrontations Mr. Luce's organization behaved?
He can say that he didn't overtly call me a name, but they went to the steps that they went to in San Francisco specifically because that's where gay marriages were performed.
Right.
Because people said that gay love is legitimate and we deserve the same rights as anybody else.
But they don't want gay marriage, and that's where their protest was held, and that's America. That's
Well,
America. They don't like it. They went to the site where it was. They held their protest. You guys had a counter-protest, which I don't mind. You have a right to be there. And then you showed up and you called them hateful names. That is what I object to.
But you just pointed out the hypocrisy in what he said.
I didn't point out any hypocrisy. I just
he
asked
came
him
there
tough
because
questions,
he's
and I
against
asked
gay
you a tough
marriage.
question.
He's against gay marriage, and he just denied that he's against anybody's rights. Well, that's not true, as you just
Gay
pointed out.
marriage is not a right in this country, as you know. If it was a right, it would be the law of the land. It isn't.
Well, it should be a right. It's
Well, that's
immoral
your
to deny
opinion.
gay people that
That's
legitimacy.
your opinion, but he sees it differently, and that's what we are in
And
America.
people like him are setting laws and policy in this country, and we are in a state of emergency. Women are going to die because abortion has been
Well,
outlawed.
okay.
Women will die.
But our republic
This is life and death.
Our
We are in a
republic
state of
says, well, wait, hold it. Our republic says that Mr. Luce and his organization is entitled to lobby for laws, just as your organization is. If you lose, that's because most people don't want what you're
No,
putting
most
out.
people are pro-choice. And here's another
Most
thing.
people
He
are
says,
against gay marriage.
Let me say this. He says he's against violence in television, and I've read what he said. Why isn't he out protesting the torture that's being conducted in our names right now by our government? Why isn't he out protesting the 100,000 Iraqi people who've been slaughtered by his government?
Well, then he could say to you, if we want to do this, and I don't think we do, Ms. Taylor, why do you want to kill 85 million babies worldwide?
Because a fetus is not a baby.
How do you know?
That's medically not true. It's inaccurate scientifically.
Only
A fetus is not a baby. Abortion is not
more than
murder.
90%
and
of
women are not
doctors-
incubators.
It's
More
really
than
not
90
about-
Wait, hold on, Mr. Luce. I'll get to you in a minute. More than 90% of doctors in this country will not perform abortions.
Because
You-
their lives are in danger if they
No,
do so,
because
yes. And I know many of
because
them.
if you look at the AMA study, it's because they don't believe it is a beneficial procedure.
No, because
First,
people
do no
following the
harm.
same morality that they preach
All right.
have
You don't
shocked
know whether that's a
doctors,
human
bombed
being or not.
clinics.
You would believe it isn't, but you don't know. Now, Mr. Luce, I'm a little nervous because I think you might want a theocracy in this country. Is that true?
Absolutely not. We just want young people to have a voice that says, you know what, it is our values that we believe what the Bible says, it's our instruction book, and we're being drowned out
But do
by
you
all
want the
these-
Bible to go over into public policy? I mean, you see, if you do, if you want the laws to be made on what the Bible says, that's a theocracy.
We want just Judeo-Christian values that made our nation great, and it's really less about what I want. It's what these young people are voicing their own opinion, and really thousands of adults are rallying to protect them as well on this BattleCry coalition that's gathering steam at BattleCry.com. They're saying, you know what, it's time to protect our young people. They're being taken down, you know, where they're being trained to kill people and to solicit prostitutes with video games. Something's wrong with our country. And when you're teaching them, you know, you got 80 to 90% of kids that are online regularly exposed to online pornography. You know, we think the divorce rate is bad now. What's it going to be when these guys get married? And so kids are gathering in these events all over the country saying, you know what, it's time for us to rescue our own generation from all the forces that are trying to take us down.
Right. Well, we appreciate you both. I think it's a very fascinating debate. Ms. Taylor, thank you. Mr. Luce? Straight ahead, dire predictions of major storms heading for America, and this is coming from a very reliable group.